Hey, it's James from Marketing for Restaurants here, and welcome to episode 139 of Secret Sauce, the restaurant marketing podcast, planning to open your restaurant in the new normal.
Some restaurants are quiet, lose money, and the owner works 70 hours a week. Other restaurants are busy, profitable, and the owners work a few hours a day. What's the difference? They have a secret sauce. Join James from Marketing for Restaurants as he helps you come up with your recipe for restaurant success. Your secret sauce.
Hello, everyone. So, pretty excited to be talking to you all on the podcast because pretty much talking to the survivors. I think, this far into the coronavirus pandemic, it's pretty much the hardcore people, the people who really understand the restaurant business, who are still listening, who are still persisting, because I've got to tell you, it's been a really tough couple of months, hasn't it? How did you get on with our 10 ideas to help you improve profitability? That has been one of our most popular podcasts for the year, apart from building a restaurant takeout business to survive the Coronageddon. When we released that one, it was super popular and it has continued to be very, very popular. Lots of people listening to it as they're still trying to look for ways to be able to bring some money in to build that profitability in their restaurant. I'll include links in the show notes for both of those podcasts, but if you haven't listened to them, have a listen, particularly the, building a takeout business, because I think, this is going to continue to be an ongoing theme as we look at what the new normal is going to be for restaurants. So before we get into today's topic, big question, how did you go? So we recently had National Hamburger Day. Did you run an ad? Now, obviously for a Japanese restaurant or a Chinese restaurant, that's probably not appropriate. Or is it? Hey, I'm just going to leave that one there. But what would a Chinese restaurant hamburger look like? What would a Japanese hamburger look like? What would an Indian hamburger look like? I'd go there. That'd be super exciting. I know for our customers, the ones that we're doing marketing for, we ran a few campaigns, quite successful. Have a look at the International Day of Observances, gives you a little bit of an idea about what's coming up. And I always think it just gives you that little bit of a question that you can ask. And if you're running a Chinese restaurant, I think it's really easy to say, well, we don't do burgers. But what if you did? What if you did? What would that look like? Now, if it's a really formal kind of Chinese restaurant, may not fit in with who it is that you want to be, that's completely fine. Maybe you're going to hang out for, National Whiskey Day. Not sure, but you can have a think about that as you sort of move forward. But if it's an average Chinese restaurant, that opportunity to run something for National Hamburger Day, and I don't even know what the buns would be like. You've got lots of room that you can play with there. Also, what's the filling going to be? Plenty of creativity that you can come to the party with. So we ran some ads for hamburger restaurants that were really successful. Plenty of opportunity there for run a hamburger campaign for a non-hamburger restaurant and get some really good traction with that. That's the thing that people are going to be interested with. And we see it time and time again. Restaurants who are doing that non-traditional marketing becoming very, very successful with it. So yeah, something to have a little bit of a think about. Now, I just want to quickly talk about what has changed as we talk about the coronavirus new normal. And I've probably stated it in a couple of the previous podcasts. I don't like the term the new normal because I think we're going to go back to the old normal after we get through the new normal. People are going to dine out. People are going to do all of the things that we kind of expected them to do. Now is the opportunity, though, to have a bit of a think, have a bit of a reset, have a look at the way that the business is done. But there are going to be some significant changes out there. First off, the legislation. What is it that's going on, whether it's at a state level, at a federal level? What sort of bonuses are there out there to help restaurants? Restaurants employ a huge number of people, and it's going to be critical in getting the restaurants up and running to enable the economies of the world to get back up and running. So make sure that you're having a look for all of the state and federal assistance that you can get. So I know in Australia, there's JobKeeper, which is paying the wages for some of the people in your business. And I know I was talking to a barista who she's actually making more money now and she's only working 3 days a week, which is quite interesting. But those JobKeeper payments, they're going to run out in September. So that's when the rubber's going to hit the road as far as which restaurants are really going to survive. That's an Australian thing. One thing that you really should be having a look out for is we've had lots of customers who've been approaching us for quotes for marketing support, because what they're doing is they're going out and they're getting grants from either councils, state government, and potentially even federal government. They're getting grants to be able to do marketing, to build their business, to take their business online. This is great. Some of those restaurants who were looking at either getting a new website or looking at some marketing support haven't been able to afford it. Now's the perfect opportunity because it's being paid for partially. Some of the schemes are where it's a partial grant, some of them where it's a full grant. Make sure you're having a look at that because it could be the easiest way to get into a Marketing for Restaurants website or get one of our epic marketing packages. Then you'll get those little ideas about, National Hamburger Day and all of the people that could be running a hamburger campaign, especially the non-hamburger restaurants. Now, next thing that you want to be thinking about is the change in customers. So this week, in fact, today in Victoria, the beautiful state that I am in, it was a rainy, miserable day, but there were a few people out there who were really enjoying the fact that you could actually go into a restaurant and you could sit down. We'll talk a little bit about that in a bit of a time, but there's been an initial rush of people wanting to get into a restaurant today, even though it's Monday, even though it's cold and miserable. And that's because people have been locked up for a long time and they haven't been able to sit down and be able to get a meal. When you think about the percentage of customers, though, who lost their job, these are the ones potentially your loyal customers who aren't going to be as loyal or loyal at all because they have lost their job. We're going to be waiting for those people to go out and get their jobs back. And this could take quite a while. So it's going to be interesting to see as that initial excitement of COVID restrictions easing, it's going to be interesting to say what happens with consumer habits and what happens with consumer spending. So we have seen a marked increase in the number of times that people have been ordering takeout or delivery. Now, I think that will drop as people are able to dine in. That's kind of obvious. But some people are saying that delivery is going to really get that big foot up that it was kind of waiting for. Is it? I think only time will tell. Having said that, I still think the product is pretty much the same. I think a lot of people have got fairly set habits. I'm not sure that people are going to be wanting more eat at home. I think in the medium term, there will be more people who are dining out. And of course, I think this is the opportunity now for restaurants to really focus on the experience that they create, because the experience between dining at home and dining in a restaurant, fundamentally different. A lot of restaurants that are looking at alfresco dining because of the number of seats that you can get in. And of course, governments are looking at encouraging people to be able to sit outside because we think that there's probably less chance of spreading COVID. This is going to be an interesting, obviously it applies for some restaurants, but not others. But I know I've spoken to a couple of restaurants who are doing this for the first time. Super tough in places like Melbourne, so there's probably not too many doing that. We had our coldest day, and I think it was like in 70 years or something for June. Pretty ordinary start to winter for us. However, in places like the United States, much less of an issue because you're starting to come into your summer. Hooray! Now, one of the things that we're finding really interesting is the way that governments around the world are starting to ease these restrictions. So, in Victoria, you're allowed to have 20 people in each part of your restaurant. I think it's really important that you look at this. I heard some restaurant owners, in fact, there was quite a few, who said that they weren't going to open because it's not viable. I spoke to one restaurant owner and he said, yep, super excited. We're going to be able to get started. So it'll only be 20, but we're going to start with the 20. Quite a big venue. Hadn't done any work on those numbers. I mean, and this is the thing that I think is really quite sad. What was it that this guy was doing? What was he thinking? He's had all of this time to prepare for this day. And a very simple question, can you be profitable with 20 people in the restaurant? In a place that's 150-seater? Probably not. Your landlord's going to be saying, well, you're open for business now. Can I have some rent, please? And how viable is it going to be? I think it's going to be very difficult for some restaurants. Now, if you're a 20-seater and you're able to have 20 people in the restaurant, then it's happy days because you're fully open. But everyone's circumstances are different. So I think it's really important that you start to look at that. Now, the other thing that I think is, and in some states we've seen governments come out and say, well, this is what you can do. And then restaurant industries or restaurants themselves say, well, that's just not going to work for us. And those numbers have been changed. And I know in Australia, there's talk about all sorts of regulatory changes that may be brought in to stimulate the restaurant industry, because it's really important that every time you're talking to a decision maker about legislative changes, that you highlight the number of people who are employed in the restaurant industry. There's a lot of them. In Australia, we're talking about getting rid of the fringe benefits tax. So in the old days, we used to have the power lunch. People would go out, they'd put the lunch on their credit card. Now that's called a fringe benefit. If you're not from Australia, don't worry about it. It's just a really stupid tax. But really, really did destroy the lunch service for so many restaurants. Getting rid of FBT on lunches, even if it was just for 2 years, huge stimulus to that lunchtime crowd. That could make a big difference, and that's what some people are talking about. And I think what we want to be thinking about is the fact that it is a blank canvas as we move forward into the new normal. A couple of things that we want to be thinking about. Firstly, no-shows are going to become critical. If you can only have 20 or even 50 people in your restaurant, once we get past that huge, big influx, and even if we don't, if you're just taking bookings, no-shows are going to become really, really, really big. If you've got a party of 4 that no-shows, then you've lost 20% of your revenue. So it's interesting looking at people like Luke Mangan. He's starting to look at prefix dining. Now, he's one of Australia's more successful chefs, and he's been around for quite a long time. And he was one of the chefs who, when the initial number of seats was going to be allowed, he said that he wasn't going to open any of his restaurants because it just wasn't going to make economic sense. Looking at prefix dining now, so that is where you have a fixed price, which people pre-book. Not an entirely new concept. Tock is one of the booking platforms which does that as a core component of its ordering system. The thing that I think always is very interesting is it depends on the value proposition that you're going to have with your restaurant and how your customers view that value proposition. So when we ate at Alinea, we made a decision that we were going to make a booking at Alinea. They were taking prefix dining, so we had to pay up front. And it was interesting because we were booking probably 3 or 4 months in advance. Got to tell you, from a cash flow point of view, that has got to be manna from heaven. Because for somewhere like Alinea, they probably have 3 months worth of bookings in the bank. Well, probably not in the bank, but they've been paid before those meals have even been delivered. That is pretty cool. It does limit your flexibility a little bit because it means that whatever the offering is, it has to have a certain price around it. And, people may need to make a decision about whether they're going to be buying a drinks package before, or is that an extra charge for the event? These are the kind of little intricacies with prefix dining. As he said, it is something that the airlines have done for a very, very long time. And it's certainly one way that you can deal with no-shows. If they don't turn up, you can have it in their conditions potentially, depending on the law in your country, but you may be able to retain the booking fee that they've charged or that they've paid. Certainly, prefix dining is not going to be the answer for every restaurant. And so I think, how do you manage those no-shows? There's a couple of ways around it. Obviously, the best one to do is not take bookings. So just straight up either having the walk-ins come in or queuing up. Ideally, you've got them queuing up. That's even better. You might have a little bar where you can get them to come in, get them into a couple of drinks. You've already started to make a little bit of money out of each and every one of your customers as they sit at the bar waiting for their table to be ready. However, that means that people who want the certainty of making a booking and knowing that there's going to be a table there for them, and you know what, I'm kind of one of those people. I don't like to queue. So you want to take some bookings for those people. Are you going to limit the amount of time that you'll keep their seats for them if they don't turn up? Because I think if you can't generate that queue by itself, then the best way to go is a mix where you might have, say, 60 or 70% of your seats available for booking and then have some seats set for walk-in. Obviously, it depends on the geography of your restaurant, where it's situated, how much walk-by traffic you've got. Got to tell you, looking at COVID, how disturbed are the traffic patterns? So in one of the things that we've been doing is having a look at some of the traffic data for just pedestrians within the Melbourne CBD. And there is a huge drop-off in pedestrian traffic. That means that the walk-ins just aren't going to be there. So you'll have to look at that as the COVID restrictions are changed and as people get back to a new normal. But that is going to be something that you bear in mind. The other thing is, if it's a large group, I think, you're probably going to be within your right to take a deposit from them. That's non-refundable if they don't turn up within X period of days before the booking, just so that you're going to be able to have some certainty. You don't want to have a booking of 10 cancel on you when you're only allowed 20 seats. That is going to be a nightmare for you. Doesn't matter what night that occurs. Of course, I think, you want to be looking at your online ordering component of your business. And I think this is going to be, it's an area that has got many, many, many restaurants through. It's provided that bit of cash flow for some restaurants to be able to keep their doors open. I've got to tell you, it's provided some cash flow to enable some restaurants to be profitable. Been shocked at the revenue that some restaurants have been able to generate, particularly from a standing start. That is really interesting. The number of restaurants who've been able to go from zero to hero in online ordering very, very quickly. Strong revenue. Now, as we move into the new normal, this is not going to last because a couple of things that we're seeing. One, the average number of times that people have been ordering from restaurants has gone up significantly. So we're seeing some people who are ordering twice or 3 times a week from a restaurant. That, I'm sure lots of restaurant owners will out there, oh, we've got Johnny, he's always ordering, he's ordering 3 times a week from us. Yes, there'll be those ones or twosies, not a significant portion of your revenue coming from the ultra regular customers. Now, those ultra regular customers, as they've got the ability to go out, as they've got the ability to go and get more food, they're probably going to start ordering less frequently. So we think that revenue for online ordering is going to start to taper off and decline over the next few months. That would be one of the things that we are thinking about. But there's a couple of things on the flip side of that. Firstly, there are less restaurants out there. Straight up, we know from what we have seen, you only have to take a walk down any street where there's a strip of restaurants, and there's quite a few closed for good, for lease type sales signs out there. And I think that that's going to extend. Looking at the economics, and this is pretty much a global story, there is going to be more closures over time. I think already some of the restaurants you can start to see, a lot of the weak ones have been weeded out, which is a good thing. I've been saying in Australia, I think there were 10% too many restaurants. We've probably gone the other way now. I would have thought at least 20, maybe 25, maybe 30% of restaurants in Australia have shut permanently just with the horror that has been coronavirus. But when you've got people who are thinking about ordering on a Friday night, on a Saturday night, some either pickup or delivery, there's 30% less restaurants. And that is where we're starting to see this bump in long-term average online ordering deliveries, plus or minus whether consumers are going to be more interested in getting their food delivered for them. We're not sure about that. I think the jury's still out. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out. I think as restrictions are lifted, more people are going to want to get out and go out and enjoy that restaurant experience that they've been missing. Go out and connect, maybe restore their soul just a little bit. Restore their soul. Remember that key part of the story that you're trying to deliver there. So that experience will only be more important. That will wear off probably in about 8 weeks' time, I think, which is when it'll be interesting to see what those online ordering numbers are there. So have a think about that. Obviously, think about what your delivery aggregator, have a think about if you've got your pickup only strategy. Obviously, check out the free restaurant online ordering system. That's been going great guns. It's been really gratifying just to look at the feedback that we've been getting because, and it's interesting. I think that the biggest issue that we've got with the free restaurant online ordering system is that people say, just what is the catch? There is no catch. We are close to, when I say close, we're close in developer years, which, is kind of like the reverse of dog years, I think, of releasing our next generation free restaurant online ordering system. Got to tell you, we're getting rid of the F with that baby. Literally, because I think the feedback from our FROLO customers is that they would have signed up earlier had there been a charge for it. So we will be getting rid of that. I'd like to say, imminently, but it's in the hand of the developers. So it's going to take quite a while to be able to do that. It is a next generation online ordering system. It's going to get some really, really funky features in there that are going to be epic. I'm really excited about it. But yeah, with FROLO, just the tens of thousands of dollars in commission that we've been saving for restaurants, during the COVID. In fact, hundreds of thousands of dollars if they've been doing pickup, and they've been comparing that to something like, one of the delivery aggregators that's charging 30%, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And, at a time when restaurants really need it. I just want to have a look at something that was really interesting. So last month, and it's the 1st of June that I'm recording this, Grubhub released their quarterly numbers, which I think is really, really interesting. Revenue of $363 million. They still managed to lose $33 million on that. So what's that? Work out to be about 9% loss? Interesting. 24 million diners using Grubhub, 46.5 million deliveries, and $1.6 billion in food sales. Now, these were the numbers that they came out with. The thing that I find really, really interesting is that not a lot of people actually go in and start to look at, the detail of what it is that was going on with that. So, a couple of things. One, the average order was $34.40. Got to tell you, I find that to be quite low. With FROLO, which is a free restaurant online ordering system, I would say that for many restaurants, their average order is in excess of that. Probably, your average Indian, probably about $10 to $15 more. We've got some restaurants that are doing $100 per order. On average, they're losing 3% per order. And this is one of the big questions that come out about the whole aggregator model in the United States. There was an article, which I may, if I remember, I'll include a link in the show notes, but it was in the markup.org, which does some really good investigative journalism on big tech. And they looked at the profitability of Grubhub, Uber Eats, Postmate, and DoorDash. Got to tell you, not a lot of them are making a lot of money. DoorDash in 2019 lost $450 million. Now, $450 million, it's not a lot of money if you say it really quickly. I'm glad it was not my money that they were losing. Postmates, they were going to IPO. They delayed it after people started comparing them to WeWork, which is not a great comparison. Uber has said that they are still losing a lot of money on every order that is shipped to them. The question is, how profitable is this going to be in the long term? And the last thing that I want to kick off with this is that the average diner only orders 1.9 times in the quarter with Grubhub. Now, their big story is that they say, we're an app platform and we can do marketing for you. And it's interesting because they've said that they make more money out of small restaurants because they don't have the muscle of the big chains to be able to generate the kind of revenue that is critical for Grubhub. So a lot of those big chains, they're able to negotiate very aggressively because they bring orders into the platform. My question is, what would happen if you took out all of those big chains that are partnering with Grubhub? How many orders would there be for the little restaurants? Because what they're saying is that Grubhub's real value proposition, the only place where they're making money, is in their ability to sell orders to restaurants. So my thing is, when you look at the commission that they are charging, how would that go if you were running that as a marketing budget? So for them, that kind of money means that they would be able to use one of our trained restaurant marketing experts, be able to come up with that forward-looking marketing plan that they've always wanted, and have significant budget to be able to put behind it. Not only that, they are going to be collecting, if they're using something like FROLO, then they're going to be collecting each and every customer's email address, which means that every time a new customer orders from them, they're going to be able to remarket to them with an email. Hey, we've got this special up. Hey, it's International Whiskey Day. This is our special deal with that. We got French Fridays coming up. That's French Fries Day, not French Friday. I'm not sure what French Friday would look like. But you've got building that email database. That's so powerful. We know that it's powerful. That's why companies like Grubhub and Just Eat won't share those email addresses with the restaurants that they're working with. Now, his big concern is, well, what happens if I lose all of my menu log orders? And it's like, well, so here's the thing. Don't leave them out of the picture. What you want to do, though, is, and we'll help you, one of our graphic designers will help draw up a little flyer that you can get printed. You drop that into each and every bag that goes out of the shop. You make sure that the bag is stapled because you don't want any of those delivery people, sampling your fries as they're going out the door. But in that bag will be a little thing that says order, direct, and save. So you might have two lots of pricing. You might have a pricing menu that is 25% more expensive when they're ordering through a delivery aggregator. If they order direct, then it's quite a bit cheaper. Not only that, you can run a loyalty discount, and we know the power of the loyalty discount because we see it, and we see exactly how much people are ordering as they get closer. So I'm saying, order 9 times, get the 10th meal free. People get that email that says, hey, thank you, this is the 6th order that you've got. You've only got 3 more before you get a free meal, and you've accrued $45 in as a loyalty credit. People start to view that as money. People start to view it as something that they want to work for. That frequency of order goes up until they get that free order. And then you've got a customer who hasn't ordered from you once. They haven't ordered from you twice. They've ordered from you 10 times. Not only have you taken your average order number per customer, you've increased the average revenue per customer. That's gone up for the period of time, but you've also become a lot closer to creating a buying habit from that customer. If they've ordered from you 10 times and the food's been pretty damn good, which I'm sure it is, then they're much more likely to be a repeat customer. That is pretty cool. So, in summing up, have a look at all of the legislation that's changing in your state, in your local area at a federal level. Look at the grants that are available. Make sure you're on top of the way that the governments are easing restrictions for COVID. Have a think about what you're going to do, how you're going to manage your no-shows. Make sure that that it's going to be profitable for you to open. You don't want to be unprofitable in these dark and scary times because that is killing more restaurants than any other time in the history of the restaurant industry. Right now, so many restaurants have closed because of unprofitability issues. This is going to be a big thing to think about. I think that we will see a little wave of people as they open up and then realize that they're losing more money, that opening up has actually been worse for them. And I know that because I've spoken to restaurant owners who aren't doing those numbers. Make sure you do those numbers. Be on the lookout for any grants that could help you, particularly marketing grants. Could get you a Marketing for Restaurants website or marketing support from us. That's a big thing to look at. And online ordering. If your food is conducive to online ordering, have a really good think about it. Have a good think about taking it on your own platform. And of course, the free restaurant online ordering system, that's just an example out there. Compare it to what you've got from a cost point of view. If you don't use it, if you're going to use your POS system, that is, super happy days because the free restaurant online ordering system, literally, we don't make any money out of it whatsoever. So we're not really that fast. It's just something there to help restaurants because we know that, a dollar saved is, it's a dollar saved, and that's really important in these day and ages. Last thing I want to put in, Grubhub, their average diner only orders with them 1.9 times in a quarter. We are seeing restaurants who've got, a good number of people who are ordering more than 1.9 times in a week. That is pretty cool, and that's the benefit of running your own marketing campaigns. It's that one-on-one connection with that customer, and that customer, you know what? You are their restaurant. Your food is the food that they want on a Friday night when they've had a really crappy day at work, when they're going to sit down, they're going to watch some TV, and they're going to open a bottle of wine, and they're going to eat some Indian food. It'll be your restaurant that they're thinking about, your restaurant that they're giving their credit card details to. So that's pretty cool. I'll leave you with that. Have a glorious week. And if you're having any troubles with COVID or the reopening, reach out to the team. It's been pretty rough times for us, as so many hard luck stories. It really is quite tragic. But a lot of the thing that's been inspiring is talking to restaurant owners, the resilience. The people there who are just they're refusing to stay down. They're rolling with the punches. They keep getting up, and the innovation and creativity. People are just trying something. Yes, this is going to help us get through. Not everyone is a winner. Not every idea is a winner. Restaurant owners know that. Everyone knows that. But just keep trying and trying and trying. And you know what? Some people are doing okay, some people are smashing it out of the park, and it's exciting to watch, and it's exciting to have a small part to play in it. So yeah, hopefully you're one of those who's hitting it out of the park, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Want more customers for your restaurant, cafe or takeout? Every month, our marketing tools and information are used by thousands of restaurant owners just like you to help them find more customers and turn them into repeat customers. All of our tools and information is designed specifically for restaurant owners. We know you don't have a lot of time to spend marketing or learning complicated procedures, so our tools are quick and easy to use. If you're looking to increase your revenue and profits or want to work less hours, check out marketingforrestaurants.com.